So we're going to be talking a little bit about what happened in the last season, what's happening in the next season, what we want to see as we lead up to Rogue One. When's the last time you guys watched Andor season 1? I'm watching it right now. I'm like in the middle of it right now.
Me too.
The original
Episode 6.
release. So
This was been a bit.
yeah, my memory is pretty bad.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on a couple things. I'm going to touch on the first season real quick so you guys get reminded of it. And then I want you guys to reflect on your favorite parts. Okay, so first off, season 1 or episode 1, Cassian accidentally kills 2 guys outside of a bar. They're the Pre-Mor security officers. Starts a problem. And then we see that Cassian scrambles to take cover. He's got this Imperial tech. He's trying to sell it off to keep himself safe. Luthen, Rael arrives to Ferrix. He's going to be buying this tech from him. And we see that he's actually part of this upcoming rebellion. Luthen ends up saving Cassian during the Pre-Mor raid, and they escape Ferrix together. And then so everything's done in Andor by 3 episode chunks. That's how the story arcs go. The next story arc starts. It's Aldahani. Luthen drops Cassian off, says, "You're Clem now. You're gonna be helping these guys out." They prepare for this big raid on this payroll depot, cash money. And everything's going wrong. And Eben Moss Baccarat is such a jerk. I forgot that he's in the show. He's such an asshole. But he's right. He is saying like, something's not right with this guy. Anyway, so they do the Aldahani heist, and generally it goes well. They do get away with it, but basically it's just Cassian, Vel, and Skeen to get away.
Next, a couple people die, which is sad.
Yes.
Yeah, Fennec or whatever. Mennick.
Yeah.
Dang, like that guy.
The news of the heist gives shockwaves, really tells everybody, hey, there's a rebellion starting to kick up. The Empire starts to tighten their control. Cassian is sentenced to 6 years in a brutal Imperial prison. And we see that this prison's very high tech, and they're all building something. Tension rises in the prison. Eventually it leads to a prison break. And that's probably my favorite part of the whole thing. But we also see that what they were building was part of the Death Star. And then on the last trio of episodes, we have Cassian leads a prison revolt. That's part of so it's part of that one. Cassian learns of his adoptive mother's Marva's death, so he's going to return. And then everyone convenes at the funeral to show their respect, but also kind of begin the rebellion from Ferrix. And then Cassian rescues Bix, who was and confronts Luthen for his part in all this. And that's where we're at. Basically, we're seeing that the Death Star is nearing completion, which is a big part of Rogue One. So, what was your guys' favorite part of that first season of Andor?
I would say I really like the Aldani heist. If I'm saying that, Aldani heist. It was kind of like the whole like edge of your seat, like, oh man, this is really like some badass Star Wars I haven't seen in a while. But one thing that always sticks out to me is that prison break, right? And then at the end, he's like, I can't swim, and I was like, yeah, bro, you're wrecking me right now. Come on, man, like, don't be doing that shit to me now. But I mean, this is one of the better shows that Star Wars released. I feel like, I'm looking for that season. Looking forward to that season too. Really,
yeah. What about you, Tom?
Oh yeah, of course. The escape from the prison is one of the best scenes of like any show ever. Just like, you're like, oh my God, you don't think it's going to get too much crazier than the heist. And then that whole segment goes on, or that arc, and holy shit, it just really pops off. But one thing that always sticks out to me, and I always think about, like, I fight for a sunrise I'll never see. I'll fight for, all that kind of stuff. Like that speech from Luthen will always like just rings in my head. Like if I want to get fired up, I'll just listen to that.
What do I sacrifice?
What do I sacrifice? Everything. It's just like so good. So that's one of my other favorite parts. I mean, the dialogue is just so good, and it also just kind of shows like
dialogue for Star Wars.
Peak Tony Gilroy. Shout out, he just crushed it. I mean, is credited as like the savior of Rogue One. And I think what he does with this series just kind of shows like why he's such a legend and why Star Wars needs him. But just like the casting was really on point, and it made me truly care about a show that did not have lightsabers. It's not like one of the things that's like, we don't need lightsabers all the time. It's like, no, this is the show that proves it. There's other shows that say that.
And they're not missing, by the way. I want to throw that out there, because sometimes you're like, man, come on, a lightsaber, get in on this. You could forget lightsabers exist in this world with this show. I loved that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. And just so well acted. I liked everybody, even people that, are kind of bad. You kind of feel sympathetic for him, like Cyril. Like Cyril's a piece of shit in the beginning, but then you see how his mom treats him, and then how he has like this low job and like nobody cares about him, but he's still determined to prove himself. It's like you kind of want to see him get his comeuppance, even though he's a dick. So it's just really, I think it's just really good writing.
Through his eyes and through Luthen and through Mon Mothma. No, I'm saying that wrong.
Mothma.
Thank you. You see more of the Empire side of things that we haven't seen in the movies. I think in the movies are just the big bad, and they're left to that plot point. But here you actually see like there's people who live in these cities and Coruscant that have different varying abilities and tasks and stuff like that. And the Empire is a machine that feeds many. And so when you're going to blow it up, it needs to be for the right reason. And then that's why we also get on Ferrix where like, oh, there are atrocities happening. And it's just because they're on the outer rim and they're kind of forgotten, it's okay to kind of push it out there. But we do need to put a spotlight on when these atrocities are happening. And I think that it does a really good job of kind of like slowly building the tension. But by the end, you're like, yeah, bring down the Empire. And in the beginning, you're like, well, it is the law of the land. There's kind of this grow within the actual show itself, you know?
Yeah. Like in the new series, though, like in the new trilogies, they try to explain how the First Order will rise. But I think this show does a way better job of showing how the rebellion would actually rise. Like the Empire is so confident, and they seem so confident, even to people who are on their inside. Like, we don't have to listen to you. You're too low of a rank. Why would we listen to you about your hunch? And it kind of shows like why an empire would be able to rise too, which is, or a rebellion, I mean. And it's just like really good. Just so good. It makes you care about like, how did the rebellion start? Oh shit, this is crazy. So it's good.
Yeah. Looking at season 2, which starts on the 22nd, we're gonna get 12 episodes, again broken up as 3 episode arcs, and it's gonna be spanning 4 years. So we're gonna get time jumps in between each of the 3 arcs. We have a lot of returning people, but we're also getting more that are coming from Rogue One. So at the start of Rogue One, the idea is that we're going to do this mission to go, find the plans for the Death Star, a very pivotal moment for the original Star Wars trilogy. Is there anything else that you want this story to tell that might have been missing from Rogue One that would help bolster the rebellion and help actually kind of fill out some of that Star Wars original movie storyline? Is there anything you can think of? What do you got, Squeaks? You got anything for me?
No. Let me think.
Yeah, I got an idea. Like just establishing certain bases. So by the time we get to the original Star Wars trilogy, like we see that the rebellion has amassed like all these weapons and all these X-wings and all that stuff. Like, how did they do it? Who did they either build? Like, who built that? Who did they source it from? Like, we kind of in the books we find out how the Empire did it with the Death Star, with the TIE fighters, all that kind of stuff. But like, how did the rebellion, who had no money, we see Mon Mothma struggling with it in season 1. So it's like, but how did they amass this large battalion of like weaponry and ships and all that stuff? So I kind of hope this season 2 kind of shows more of that.
I would say like for what I would like to see is how like this whole like Rebel spy network like was put into place. Like you were talking about like weapons and stuff, but how like operations would work. Another thing is obviously I'm a massive like dark side Empire kind of guy. Is how the Death Star like plans actually got in the position that it was, like how it was developed or what was the plans of going forward, because we usually just see like hey, here's the star, right? I want to see like the beginning of that. So we see like what, if I remember right in the trailer, it looked like it was in construction, or was it already built? It was in construction.
We're seeing some construction happening in season 1, and then in Rogue One they go for the plans. But I would like to see, to add to what you're saying there, is the intention to make a weak spot in the Death Star so that the rebellion has a chance. Because that shaft that goes to the center of it that blows the whole damn thing up, that has to be implemented, on purpose. Like that's something that the architects like, I got an idea to help, screw over these people.
This is one of my favorite scenes in How I Met Your Mother. It's like Ted and I think it's Barney or Marshall. They're arguing about like someone had to intentionally put that in there. They're like, no, it was poor planning. So there's like this whole argument that breaks out. But like, yeah, maybe they will explain it in a weird backwards door or backdoor way in Andor, which I'm all for. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. I would love to see a larger plan in place for the Empire and the Death Star, because I think the Death Star doesn't make sense on its own. Like, okay, you're going to travel from planet to planet, threaten them, blow up a couple of them, yada, yada, yada. But if you were to make an armada of them, that makes more sense to me, especially as a Star Trek fan in the Borg. It's the same thing. And so we see that the second Death Star is, in construction for the third movie. I want to see that there were many planned. And so the Then it shows some urgency to the original trilogy. Of like, oh, we have to destroy this first completed one because there's a good 40 that are on the docket to be made after these ones. And so if we don't show them that these are not a good idea, they'll keep making them. And then when that all falls apart and the Empire is collapsed, and then all of a sudden you just have the remnants and the First Order starting to happen, you can see that there was already so much manufacturing going on in the world that, yeah, if the rebels took out the Emperor, who cares? There's all kinds of factories currently making Death Stars that now are going to shift to protecting themselves. And it kind of makes sense that like it's a full factory machine working on a bunch of different things. I don't know. There's something there to where I'm like, it doesn't make sense to make one Death Star. You should have been making a bunch of them to really be an actual force.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Somewhere they do kind of mention it though, where they talk about the money. So the reason why I think there's like they are trying to make more, I think, because don't they blow up another one in another star? We should probably know this. I should probably know this.
The third one, they blow up the second Death Star.
So I think it's either in Andor or something else. They talk about how much it costs. And like, that's the other thing that Andor kind of gets into the minutia of it. It's like, we don't think about them collecting taxes or money or even like Skeleton Crew kind of talks about it a little bit, you know, it was like, wait, you had all these old credits here. Like who's still minting these things, you know? So like we didn't, you know, it's kind of boring in a sense too, but it is kind of interesting to think about like, how would you build a whole planet that's actually just a weapon? So but I agree with you. I think there probably is more plans though to make a bunch of them.
Because in the First Order, they had that big weapon as well. So it almost feels like the First Order one was something that they like, oh, it's the Death Star 2.0. We're in development of that, but it's so far out that that's when the First Order, because otherwise, like, how did you guys do that without anybody noticing, you know? So there's a lot of holes that could definitely be filled in by this. And anytime that they try to improve the newer trilogy, I'm always on board with that. That's what the Bad Batch did a great job with that, explaining the whole cloning process.
Yep.
All right, guys. So, yeah, we're going to be covering every single episode of Andor. I know me and Thomas are going to be busy over on Challenge Accepted. So please join us. And then we'll cover the premiere and the finale over here on Geek Freaks as well. So stay tuned with us, guys.